Hello everybody, this is the Immortal Cave and sandwichtrust.blogspot.ca doing take 9005 of trying to figure out how to word this frickin' this episode. As usual, put a link to the blog in the description, but this one is very hard for me to explain because it's something it had a very good presence. I'm talking, of course, about the episode Time Heist, and it had a very good presence to it. I enjoyed it, but at the same time, it didn't click. How do I word this? Especially after last week's episode listen, which I still stand by my comment of saying it was one of my favorite episodes of the franchise. Um, this episode just kind of seemed to have not fallen flat. It just didn't do anything spectacular, I guess. It was very run of the mill, but it was also very different because they've never been a bank heist type episode. There's never been an episode with quite this kind of tone or feel to it, at least that I'm remembering. And a lot of it felt very unique to the 12th Doctor because of how he handled it. Do I think any of the other Doctors would have done something quite like this? Now again, like I said, spoilers abound. Do I think, and of course if you've seen the episode you already know that, the Architect, this character who erases the memories of all the four characters, the Dr. Clara and the shapeshifter and the cyborg, I cannot remember their names to save my life. The cyborg's name is Sly, and I do not remember the shapeshifter's name, but it's not coming to me. We will learn that the Architect is the Doctor. Would any of the other Doctors have been able to do this? Not really. I don't think. I don't think any of the other Doctors would have quite pulled it off in this sense. They would have figured out ways around it. But I don't think they would have done it in quite this way. Like, I can't picture, certainly not the 11th trying it, considering the fact that he's all over the place. I couldn't picture the 10th doing it, considering the fact that he's just kind of this. I'm not quite sure. I'm never sure how to describe the 10th. The 9th would have been too serious to try anything quite this plotty. The 12th is the only one who would have made this work as well. Maybe the 7th, but again, I'm just kind of guessing here. So what works with this episode? Again, the premise, the plot, the everything went very strongly. It didn't go into any areas that weren't expected. It didn't really surprise me because very soon after I was figuring, well, either the bank manager, Karabraxos, or the Architect is the Doctor. One or the other. I'm not sure which one, but one or the other. And I also figured out pretty much instantaneously that those things weren't killing them because it doesn't look like a kill. It looks like a teleporter. It's extremely obvious, actually. But at the same time, I do think that everything worked out well. And I didn't call it immediately what was going to happen with the teleporters and how everything kind of evolved into itself. The very cyclical nature of it was very cool. The concept of, the Doctor has all of these things set up so that he can go back in time, go into this situation, and then free these two creatures. They never gave a species name, I don't believe at least, but they refer to the one that haunts them through the entire episode as the Teller, bank teller. And it, gets secrets, so it tells of guilt. It's cute. Not the creature itself. The creature itself looked like, I don't know, someone took Jar Jar Binks and stretched his eyes out way the hell out. Not that it wasn't a nice effect. It actually was a really nice looking creature. But it was weird. But I do like the Teller as an entity because it was very slow and plodding, but it was also very unnerving, I guess. So when it was trying to find Clara and it was just kind of stomping around, I kind of like that. So the enemy was very good. The two sidekicks, the shapeshifter and the cyborg, they did their points and they were enjoyable, but I wouldn't say that they were like the best part of the episode or anything like that by any stretch of the goddamn imagination. I had a really long day at work, a really big stretch of the imagination, but they did their parts and they were serviceable. They were fine. Um, I wouldn't say great, but they were fine. Um, like I said, I think the main problem is the fact that it didn't do anything horrible, but it didn't do anything fantastic at the same time. Any problems it did have were kind of counterbalanced, so it's kind of like the ultimate, like, just mid-range episode. Not great, but not terrible either. I enjoyed the heck out of it, it was good. Um, what else was there? I don't know, like I said, I liked the premise. It was very different for Doctor Who, but at the same time, it was something that it was worth watching. If I had to give it a score, it was a 3 out of 5. It's straight down the middle. It's 50% on. Well, I wouldn't say Rotten Tomatoes because that'd be terrible. Um, just a 50% score. It was, any faults it had were counterbalanced by some really neat parts, which were like, the unique devices, like again the teleporters that the Doctor thought was just like a suicide device, or the what did he call it? Like a matter transporter bomb, which would like teleport an item. I don't know, which didn't really make much sense considering all now that I think about it, but it was still neat, and I didn't really need a massive explanation. It kind of just seemed like it was just going for twist after twist after twist after twist, which some of them worked, some of them didn't. Again, it did what it did, and that's all I expected of it. Enough said. Uh, yeah, no, I enjoyed it. I didn't hate it, didn't love it. Again, especially after Listen last week, which was awesome. Despite one plot point, but I'm not talking about that episode. I'm not going to spoil that episode in case you haven't seen it. Nonetheless, what have we got for the next episode? We've got The Caretaker. This episode worries me. Oh dear. This episode reeks of a cross between The Lodger and what was the episode from season 2 that had Elizabeth Sladen in it? That first brought back Sarah Jane. I cannot remember the name of the episode, but it seems like a cross between The Lodger from season 5 and that episode. Because it's got the Doctor coming in as like a janitor, I guess, because Clara's spending less time with him and he's getting jealous. And I will admit that actually the one thing about the 12th Doctor I'm not a huge fan of is the fact that he seems to be getting jealous of this Danny character. Because I guess because Clara's the one companion he's actually spent time with, and he's the one person that he's actually spent time with. So he's, how do I word this? I guess like a kid and his mother almost. This very soft side to this very dark Doctor. And Sly said something actually, which I love. This actually fits the Doctor perfectly, which is he's the Doctor in the sense of professional, keeping professional distance, keeping a professional emotional distance or something like that, like staying emotionally detached, professional detachment. That's what he said. From the episodes, someone dies. Well, I can't get emotional about it because they're gonna die, and I actually think that fits this character perfectly. And that alone, I think, is actually a good reason for this episode because it introduced that. I love that. That's really cool. What else do we have? But yeah, the Caretaker, like I said, it just looks like a mishmash of 2 episodes with the one thing about the Doctor, the 12th, that I don't like. Again, there's so much about the 12th Doctor I love. I love, 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 love. But this, this jealousy thing is just, I don't know. Like, it feels very wrong. Like I don't know. Like I don't know if I went on record as saying this in my actual reviews for Series 2, but one of my problems with that season was, I keep going back and forth between series and season, by the way, and I'm way off topic at this point, so, great episode, see you next week. But for those who are just kind of curious, season 2, my main problem with it was, I like Rose. I like the 10th Doctor. Them together, not as much. I think that was my main problem with the 10th Doctor, was because the first season, oh, these two are all lovey-dovey. Now, the Doctor and a companion having a romance, I'm still not keen on it in the sense of just a pure, actual, romance. Having the moments here and there, I think Matt Smith and the 11th Doctor did it perfectly with Amy in the first season. Amy is in love with him or whatever, and he's just like, I really, no, don't, please stay the hell away, just back off. That, I think that worked because it was something very different from what you'd expect. Now, as a Doctor Who fan from the original series, maybe the Doctor actually having a romantic relationship with a companion was different from what they'd expect. For me, it was pretty much exactly what I saw coming. So that was a problem I had with the two characters, was that it was really predictable to have, here's a male and female character traveling together. How long until they get together? I like the fact that they sketch around it later. And, again, the 11th and Clara particularly had kind of this weird thing going on, but 12 and Clara are strictly, again, teacher and student, I guess would be a good way of wording it. Which is why I actually like the fact that Clara's a teacher, because it's cyclical. Again, I like cycles. Anyway, that was my problem with the 10th. I hope they're not trying. I got this bad feeling brewing in my head that this is going to go into a direction that I'm not going to like. This whole jealousy thing. I hope it doesn't. I really, really hope it doesn't. But I got this bad feeling. Again, I'm a paranoid man, so it wouldn't surprise me if I'm wrong, but just call me squicky. I'm squicked out at the concept of it, and it's just, I don't know, maybe that one's just me again. Again, most people did seem to like the 10th and Rose, so maybe that one's just me. But regardless, for those who have stayed for my additional rant, yeah, no, like I said, good episode. Next week, here's hoping this is all going to go well. Because I think after that one is the episode called Kill the Moon, and oh, the second I saw that title, I'm just like, this is going to be a good one. The Caretaker, we'll have to see. So I'll see you next week. Actually, I'll see you next Sunday, because I do have work next week. So I will see you guys next Sunday for my review of The Caretaker. Until then, adios, ladies and gentlemen.